Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. And it's a bit of a special edition because for the first time ever, we're talking NBA in-season tournament hoops. The tournament is finally here. Friday night was the first night of group play, 14 teams, 7 games, some really bright courts, some new jerseys, some great hoops across the board, one of the most competitive nights of hoops we've seen so far. All in all, if you ask me, this first night of the in-season tournament was a massive success. I know most people leading into the in-season tournament ever, really since it got announced, have been pretty skeptical. There's been complaints that it's unnecessary, that it's really not going to help the league, it's not going to spice things up, that players aren't going to care about it, that we're wasting our time, everything in between. A lot of complaints up that alley, but me personally, I've been optimistic going into the tournament. I thought it would be a fun new addition to the season. It's kind of similar to the way I felt about the play-in, where sure, it was really weird and I was like, oh, I guess we'll see if this works, but I was optimistic thinking, hey, there's some positives here, and if it doesn't work, they can always get rid of it. And now the play-in is amazing. It's given us some amazing moments, some great hoops. It ups the stakes at the end of the regular season, and ultimately, I think most of you would agree with me when I say that it's an integral part of the schedule now, and I would hate to see it go. So with the tournament, I was like, yeah, this is strange. It's a massive shift from the NBA schedule, I know, but why not give it a shot? Worst case, it's not good. They can get rid of it. Best case, it adds a lot of stakes to this early going of the regular season. It establishes a new tradition in the NBA, and it dramatically spices things up. So I went into it optimistic, and like I said, the first night felt like a massive success. One of the most competitive nights of hoops we've seen this entire season. A lot of games came all the way down to the wire. Really only 2 didn't. We saw attempted game winners, daggers, 1 game winner specifically in Thunder Warriors, which we will talk about. Bit of a controversial one over there. We also saw some great performances from young players, veterans, everybody across the board. And I don't know if that's because of the in-season tournament, if guys were really taking this seriously and going as hard as they could. But at the very least, the games were amazing. And for me personally as a fan, the stakes did feel a bit higher going into this one. And watching the Thunder game, I'm a Thunder fan if you didn't know, I was really invested in this game. Not that I'm not invested in other games, I'm incredibly invested, probably way more than I need to be for my mental health on game 1 through 6 of the regular season. But game 6 of the regular season, I'm feeling like this is a playoff game. Like I desperately want to see the Thunder go ahead and take down the Warriors at home without Shea. He didn't play in this one, and we were right there with him all the way up until the end, until eventually we lost. But I was losing my mind on every Thunder bucket, every stop. I always live tweet the games, but this time I'm live tweeting in all caps. It feels like my timeline was really alive for all of these games. The atmospheres, hearing it from, just watching it on League Pass and national TV, felt amazing at the games. I've also seen some people that were at the games themselves say, hey, this crowd was one of the best I've seen this entire season. It feels like most fans were really invested in this thing. So between the great hoops and the fans being invested, that's a huge plus. Plus, the courts, sure, some of them are kind of hideous. I think it's fun to try out these new courts. I think it added a bit of, uniqueness to this. I think if they just had the normal courts, it would have felt like more of a regular season game. But these unique courts, I think, help build onto those stakes, makes it feel like, hey, this is something different. I love that the trophy is at the center of the court. NBA, can we please do this going forward for the NBA Finals? I don't know why we ever got away from that. We went for this minimalistic design on the court, which has just been a problem overall in the NBA and sports in general. Add the Finals trophy to the court, please, NBA. Thank you. If we can do it for this, we can do it for the NBA Finals. But yeah, I like that the courts are different. I like that they're going for this bold look where some courts are red or blue. They're not the normal wood color. And again, some of them are really, really ugly, but it's fun. It's something different. I like it. Also, it was nice that all the games were on the same night. I think if they sporadically put them all throughout the week, it would have felt a little bit more chaotic. It wouldn't have felt like a cohesive thing. Instead, having these nights, this is something that I can look forward to. I'm like, oh, cool, an in-season tournament night is coming up here, and I can know that I'm probably going to get to see some cool basketball, that, the courts are going to be different. It's fun. What can I say? Maybe I'm just a simple basketball fan who says, hey, more basketball is good, but I had a great time. I thought it was a massive success. So let's go ahead and cover some of these games. The first one I do want to talk about was Thunder Warriors, which was probably the best game of the night. This was a shootout. Like I mentioned earlier, no Shea in this one, but the Thunder still remained incredibly competitive. Lu Dort was a big reason for that. He started off 9 for 9 from the field, 6 of 6 from 3. Lu Dort just seems to show up when the lights are brightest. Continuously, he did it in that Game 7. He did it in our play-in win against the New Orleans Pelicans. He did it tonight in the first in-season tournament game. He was electric. Chet Holmgren was great for us too, shooting 7 of 9 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3, 24 points, 8 boards, 5 assists. He's been amazing. I think a full video on Chet is coming at some point soon because I need to explain to you just how good he's been. He's been historically great to start his career. Giddey was slow to start off, but in the fourth quarter turned up. J-Dub, kind of similar situation where he started a bit slow, but by the end of the game had 18 points, 3 boards, and 8 assists. Cason Wallace was great. Isaiah Joe was knocking down threes. It was a team effort to battle against the Warriors, who were great in their own right. Steph Curry hits the game winner eventually, which originally was waved off because Draymond Green touched the rim, and it seemed like to me he touched the basketball, which is an offensive interference, so that probably should have allowed the game to go to overtime, or at least that's what I thought. The ref said no. Apparently he didn't touch the ball, and there's some rule where if you touch the rim and it doesn't drastically impact the way the ball is bouncing, it doesn't actually count as an interference. I've never seen that before. I'm still kind of upset about it if I'm being real, but I've for the most part gotten over it. Whatever. It's a weird thing. Weird things happen. Y'all can let me know what your opinion was on that whole situation down below in the comments. But regardless, even if Draymond didn't touch it, the ball was going to go in. Steph hits the game winner, 30 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals. He was incredible as usual. Klay Thompson torched us for a good portion of this game. He had 18 points. Draymond Green was even out there hitting threes. Andrew Wiggins had 17 points. Dario Saric, I guess in a revenge game against the Thunder because we didn't give him a tribute video, puts up 20 points. He's drilling threes. Chris Paul only has 1 point but has 13 dimes. No turnovers, continues his great playmaking start to the season. And this Warriors team really just feels dramatically different now with Chris Paul really just not being last season. Last year felt like a Twilight Zone type of year for the Warriors where they just fell away from all the things that they typically do. It feels like the Warriors are back. They're really good. I'm super proud of the way this Thunder team battled without Shea against one of the league's best squads. But yeah, it feels like the Warriors have rebuilt all their momentum. They're back. They're one of the best teams in the league. And they won a really close game on a game winner. Still kind of salty about the way it ended. I really wish there wasn't that call at all and that Steph had just hit the game winner so I didn't have to think about it anymore. But yeah, shout out to the Golden State Warriors. Proud of my guys over in OKC. Hopefully we bounce back and the Warriors start off 1-0 in group play here in the in-season tournament. Speaking of games that went all the way down to the wire, Bucks-Knicks was another one of those matchups. We've seen some struggles from the Bucks early on in the season trying to figure out when to get Dame going, when should Giannis take the ball. It feels like they're kind of just making things more complicated than they need to be, but they got a big lead in the first half and it felt like they were going to hold on to it until the Knicks stormed all the way back. They again had some of those issues. The defense was really faltering, and all of a sudden the Knicks were able to take the lead with 1:10 to go after the Bucks were up 14 off a big Jalen Brunson 3. He was amazing in this game, showed a lot of stuff we saw from him last year. 45 points, 17 of 30 shooting, including that huge clutch 3 to give them the lead really late in this one. But unfortunately for Brunson, he didn't get a lot of help from his co-star Julius Randle, who has been awful to start the season. We'll talk about him a bit more later. And also, Damian Lillard showed up because in the clutch moments, that's always what he's going to do. He hits a big 3 on the other side of the court to go ahead and give the Bucks the lead back. Brunson misses a jumper, and then Dame hits an and one. Really, when it felt like the Knicks kind of just stopped playing defense for a moment. They stopped playing defense. He attacks, gets the and one to go ahead and close this game out. The Bucks win a ugly win, but a win's a win. The Bucks need these. They need to continue to build chemistry. They have to get these wins even when they're not the prettiest. I think eventually they're going to get better. It's just going to take some time. But yeah, big W for them here for the Knicks. Like I said, the big reason they lost and continue to kind of struggle in the early going of the season is the really rough play of Julius Randle. I was going to say inconsistent, but he's been consistent. It's just been consistently bad. He shot 5 of 20 in this one, 1 of 9 from 3, 16 points, and on the season, he's shooting under 30% from the field. It's been awful. I don't know what it is about Julius Randle. It seems like every other season he just forgets how to play basketball. I'm not saying it's going to be like this the entire year because he was just all NBA, but I'm starting to wonder if this actually is a phenomenon. They need Julius Randle to step up and be that all-NBA player if they want to be as successful in the regular season as they were last year. if he keeps playing like this, the Knicks are in some trouble. So we'll keep an eye on that. But meanwhile, like I said, Jalen Brunson was amazing. Big win for the Bucks. They start off 1-0 in their group. Another ugly game that kind of came down to the wire was Blazers versus Grizzlies. This was the chance for the Memphis Grizzlies to kind of get back on track. They've been the worst team in the league so far, the only winless team going into this game, but the Blazers haven't been very good. If there was ever a time for them to build some momentum and get this thing back on track, it was tonight, and it looked like for a majority of the game, specifically pretty close until the end, that they were going to do exactly that, and then they just completely collapsed. They gave up some big buckets. Shaedon Sharpe was huge in this game. At the end of regulation, he hits a big shot. They end up tying this thing, and then Luke Kennard gets a three in the corner that feels wide open to try and win the game, and then Shaedon Sharpe just flies in and blocks him. The athleticism is ridiculous. Game goes to OT, and in overtime, the Grizzlies again just collapse down the stretch. Jeremy Grant has some big buckets in the fourth and overtime, and ultimately, the Grizzlies lose again. It's rough out there. Marcus Smart, really bad turnover. Xavier Tillman at the end, like airball to reverse layup. It feels like things are snowballing. They're now, I think, 0-6 as I'm recording this video. Things don't feel like they're going to get better anytime soon. I knew it was going to be bad without Ja Morant, but they keep reaching new lows. The role players are struggling. They can't seem to get stops on defense. The offense is disgusting. If you're not able to beat this Blazers team, I don't know who they're realistically going to beat until Ja comes back. There's a real chance that they're in an awful spot when he returns, one that they just might not be able to dig themselves out of. As for the Blazers, like I said, huge credit to Shaedon Sharpe in this one. He was phenomenal. Really is looking like the breakout player of the season for the team. He feels like a future star. The final two games that came down to the wire were Bulls Nets and Cavs Pacers. I feel like this video is getting long, so I'm going to fly through those here at the end. Bulls Nets was a battle back and forth, with Zach LaVine having an attempt to go ahead and win this game on they said it was a 3 in the broadcast, but I think it was a 2. I'm pretty sure his foot was on the line if I remember correctly. He missed a free throw. He got the ball, turned around, put it up. Did not go down. The Bulls ended up falling to the Nets. Dorian Finney-Smith was a monster in this one, just torching the Bulls out there. The Bulls just can't seem to get anything to go their way. Patrick Williams had one of his better games of the season so far, so shout out to him. But overall, losing this first in-season tournament game just feels like another blow for a Bulls team that eventually, I believe, will blow it up throughout the season. As for the Nets, good win. Cam Thomas struggled again. It feels like he's losing a little bit of his magic, but he still was serviceable. He helped them offensively in some moments. As for the Cavs-Pacers game, the Pacers court is one of the brightest things I've ever seen. Almost blinded me when I opened it up on League Pass for the first time. I will say, though, their city jerseys kind of growing on me. I kind of like them at this point. And this game also was really close at the end, with players hitting big shots back and forth. Donovan Mitchell tried to will this Cavs team to a win, but ultimately Tyrese Haliburton hits a dagger step-back 3 to give the Pacers the win. It's crazy just how much better this team looks when Tyrese is out there. He's such a difference maker. Their play style just works better. Everybody improves off of him, his playmaking, his decision-making, his shot-making. Tyrese is one of the most special young guards in the league. The Pacers feel like they're going to continue to build some momentum off this after that brutal loss to the Celtics in the game before. Finally, we've got the last two games which weren't really close in this slate. The Heat end up destroying the Wizards. They led by 25 in this one. Was really never close outside the first roughly 18 minutes of this matchup. Jimmy Butler has one of his better games of the season, 20.7 boards, 2 assists, 3 steals on efficient shooting. Hero continues to look like the Heat's best player in the early going of the season. 1 assist away from a triple-double, 24 points, 10 boards, 9 assists. Bam Adebayo had 18 points. The Wizards just didn't stand much of a chance. Duncan Robinson also 7-11 from the field. Meanwhile, for the Wizards, Kyle Kuzma had a decent game with 22 points. Jordan Poole had 19, but they were getting blown out in this one. The Wizards just aren't very good. As for the Heat, good chance for them to get back on track, going from 1-4 to 2-4 and getting an in-season tournament win in the process. And finally, we had a battle between two of the West top teams so far in the Mavericks and the Nuggets. One that wasn't very close. The Nuggets just obliterated the Mavericks, making a statement out there. Jokic outduels Luka, putting up an absurd 33-point, 14-board, 9-assist stat line, while shooting 14 of 16 from the field, including a 3 right at the end of the first half to extend the Nuggets lead going into the break. As for the Mavericks, they really struggled with the size of the Denver Nuggets. It felt like they could have used some bigger lineups out there. They just had no answer for the front court of Jokic, Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr., who all had really good games. Luka was pretty dominant scoring the ball in this one, 34 points to go with 10 boards, 8 assists. 9 turnovers, which you really don't want to see out there, but ultimately he was the guy that was mostly keeping them in this one. Didn't get a ton of help across the roster. They fall to just a great Nuggets team who is still looking like the best team in the Western Conference. And yeah, those are my thoughts on the first ever in-season tournament games. I think night 1 was a massive success. Liked a lot about it. Let me know what your thoughts were on the beginning of this in-season tournament down below in the comments. Give me your takes on the courts, the jerseys, the play. Do you like the format of the tournament? Just any thoughts in particular. I'd love to hear what you all have to say. But for right now, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Real One, say it back.